to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Today in the rLounge, this is one of those situations where everyone agrees family is important, right up until you've expected to accept behavior that shouldn't be acceptable from anyone. Mother-in-law demands that she should be the center of attention in our wedding. We banned her and ghosted her. My fiancé and I got engaged after 3 years together. We'd been living together for a year and a half, and the proposal was simple. We posted a quick announcement online and figured that was that. 2 hours later, my future mother-in-law called screaming, not congratulating us, not expressing happiness, just screaming about how we didn't tell her first before announcing it publicly. My fiancé tried to calm her down, explaining that we were excited and just wanted to share the news. She wouldn't hear it, kept going on about respect and how she should have been the first to know. The next morning, at 8 a.m, someone was letting themselves into our apartment. We were still in bed. It was her. She had a spare key my fiancé had given her years ago when she first moved out. She walked right in with the shopping bags full of wedding magazines and started spreading them across the table. My fiancé came out of the bedroom confused, asking what she was doing here. She just smiled and said she wanted to help us start planning right away. We hadn't even talked about a budget yet. We hadn't discussed anything. My fiancé tried to tell her that we wanted to plan things ourselves, take her time with it. Her response was that she'd been planning this wedding since my fiancé was born, and that mother knows best. About a week later, she invited us to lunch, said she wanted to celebrate our engagement properly. We showed up at this restaurant and realized pretty quickly it wasn't just lunch. She'd hired a wedding planner, had already paid a deposit. The planner was sitting there with a tablet and a folder, looking uncomfortable as hell. My future mother-in-law started describing her vision for the wedding. She wanted to walk down the aisle first, before the wedding party. She wanted to give a 20-minute speech at the reception, and she wanted to wear a white dress because Ivory apparently washes her out. My fiancé went pale. I could see her shutting down, trying to process what was happening. The planner kept glancing at us like she knew this was wrong but didn't know how to extract herself. I stood up and told my fiancé we were leaving. She followed me out without a word. Her mother called after us, saying we were being ungrateful and that she was only trying to help. That's when I realized we needed to change our locks. My fiancé agreed, but she was shaken. She kept saying her mom had always been involved in her life, but never like this. We got the locks changed a few days later. Good thing, too, because we found out she'd been letting herself into our apartment while we were both out. Our neighbor mentioned she'd seen her coming and going. When we got home one day, there were bridal magazines stacked on our couch, fabric swatches pinned to our curtains, and business cards from vendors scattered across our kitchen counter. She even rearranged our living room furniture. Said she was practicing layouts for the reception when my fiancé called to confront her about it. My fiancé was crying when she got off the phone. Not sad crying, frustrated crying. She felt violated and guilty at the same time. Guilty for feeling violated by her own mother. I told her the guilt was misplaced. Her mother was the one who should feel guilty. Then came the venue situation. We got a text message with photos of a country club we'd never been to. The message said we were all booked for a date we'd never discussed, for 300 guests we didn't know. She'd put down a non-refundable deposit. The text ended with, "You're welcome. Now you can focus on the fun stuff," with a bunch of heart emojis. I looked at my fiancé and asked her what she wanted to do. She was staring at her phone like it was a bomb. She said we needed to tell her mother this wasn't okay. I agreed. We needed to shut this down immediately. We called her together, put her on speaker, told her directly that we weren't using her venue, that we'd plan our own wedding, and that she needed to get a refund or eat the cost because we never authorized any of it. The screaming started immediately. She went on about sacrifice and how selfish we were, how she was only trying to help, and we were throwing it back in her face. Then she said if we didn't use her venue, she wasn't coming to the wedding. I responded before my fiancé could. Told her that could be arranged. She hung up. My fiancé looked at me with wide eyes. I think part of her couldn't believe I'd said it, but I wasn't backing down. Her mother was trying to hijack our wedding, and I wasn't going to let that happen. The next day, she started a group chat with my fiancé's entire extended family. Sent these long paragraphs about how we were excluding her from her only daughter's wedding and how heartbroken she was. My fiancé's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone had an opinion. Some of them were supportive of us, but the loud ones were on her mother's side, telling my fiancé she was being cruel, that family comes first, all that nonsense. My fiancé was devastated, but she wasn't backing down anymore. She'd hit her limit. We talked about it and decided we were going to plan this wedding exactly how we wanted it. Small, intimate, only people who actually supported us. We found a venue we loved. It held 80 people max. Perfect size. We told exactly 5 people about it. My parents, my brother, and 2 of our closest friends. Nobody in my fiance's family got the information. We didn't trust them not to leak it. Somehow her mother found out anyway. We suspected her sister was feeding her information. The text started coming about how the venue was embarrassingly small and what would people think. My fiance didn't respond, just blocked her mother's number. My fiance's aunt, one of the reasonable ones, called to warn us, said her mother was planning to show up at the wedding regardless of whether she was invited. She'd been shopping for white dresses. She was also telling people she was doing a mother-daughter dance and giving a speech. We hadn't even sent invitations yet. When we did send invitations, her mother wasn't on the list. Neither was her father. My fiance wrote her mother a text before blocking her on everything, told her she'd made the wedding about herself instead of about us, that she wasn't invited, and not to contact us again. Then she blocked her on every platform we could think of. One of my fiance's aunts tried to ambush her at a coffee shop. She started bringing up childhood memories, talking about how much her mother loved her, how we'd regret this decision. My fiance cut her off and said her mother had 1,000 chances to be normal and chose not to be. Then she got up and left, blocked the aunt when she tried to follow up with texts. We hired security for the wedding, gave them photos of both her parents, and told them these two people might try to crash. The security company said they'd handled situations like this before. It cost extra, but it was worth it. About a month before the wedding, my fiance's cousin gave us a heads up. Her mother was planning to show up at our apartment the day before the wedding to reconcile. We booked a hotel room for the night under my brother's name. Didn't tell anyone where we'd be. Then her mother created a fake social media account to follow our wedding hashtag and vendors. Our photographer reached out confused because someone claiming to be the mother of the bride was asking for behind-the-scenes access. We made everything private and reminded all of our vendors about the situation. The rehearsal dinner was perfect. Small, just the wedding party and my family. No drama, no stress. My fiancée kept checking her phone out of habit, expecting her mother to somehow appear. I took her phone and turned it off. We needed to enjoy this. The night before the wedding, we checked into the hotel. My fiancé's cousin texted us around 9 at night. Her mother had shown up at our apartment with her father, banging on the door and demanding to talk. Our neighbor called the cops for disturbing the peace. They were escorted away. We slept well knowing we'd made the right decision. Wedding day arrived. Security was briefed and ready. The ceremony was set to start at 4 in the afternoon. At 3:30, radio security that her parents had just pulled into the parking lot. They were stopped at the entrance. Her mother was crying. Her father was arguing with security. They weren't on the list, so they weren't getting in. They threatened to call the police. Security told them to go ahead. They left. My wife's cousin asked to meet up for coffee. We were hesitant, but she'd been helpful throughout the whole thing. She told us her mother had a complete meltdown after the wedding. We found out she'd been telling people we stole her money because she lost the deposit on that venue she booked without our permission. She was painting herself as a victim, saying she invested in our future and we threw it in her face. Then her father sent a text from a new number. Just said her mother was in the hospital and thought we should know. No details, no explanation. My wife's first reaction was panic. Then she caught herself. She realized it was probably a manipulation tactic. We didn't respond. The cousin confirmed the next day that her mother was fine. She'd had a panic attack, or more accurately a tantrum, and her father took her to the ER for attention. She was released the same day. The hospital text was pure manipulation to get my wife to break no contact. My wife blocked her father's new number immediately. 3 months after the wedding, we were setting into married life. No contact with the parents, limited contact with extended family. The people who'd been pestering us had mostly given up. Life was peaceful. My wife had moments of sadness sometimes, grieving the mother she wished she had, but she never regretted our decision. Update. It's been almost a year since the wedding and things have developed in ways I didn't expect. Figured I'd give one final update since people have been messaging asking how everything turned out. We hit the 6-month mark post-wedding without hearing much from her side of the family. The silence was nice. Then my wife's cousin reached out with some news that honestly shocked both of us. Her parents are getting divorced. Apparently her father finally hit his breaking point. According to the cousin, he told her mother that her obsession with our wedding and her inability to let it go had become unbearable. He said he was tired of being dragged into her drama and watching her alienate their daughter. She didn't take it well, accused him of choosing us over her, or betraying her, of not supporting her when she needed him the most. He told her there were no sides to choose. She just needed to accept reality and move on. She refused. He moved out and stayed with his brother, filed for divorce 2 weeks later. My wife's reaction when she heard this? She said, good for him. No sympathy for her mother, no guilt about the divorce, just acknowledgement that he finally did what he should have done months ago. The details came out slowly through the cousin. Her father had apparently been telling her mother for months that her behavior was out of control, that trying to hijack our wedding was wrong, that showing up at the venue after being explicitly told not to come was embarrassing. She didn't want to hear any of it. She kept insisting she was the victim in all of this. The breaking point came when she started talking about grandchildren. She'd been going on and on about how she'd be the perfect grandmother, how she'd get a second chance to be involved in major life events. Her father asked if she was seriously thought we'd let her anywhere near our hypothetical children after everything she'd done. She said blood is thicker than water, and we'd come around eventually. He told her she was delusional. She told him to get out. So he did. Her mother tried to use the divorce as a weapon against us. She sent a message through one of her sisters to my wife, said that her father left her because of what we did, that we destroyed their marriage, that she hoped we were happy now. My wife's response, which she had the aunt relay back, was that he left because of what her mother did, that she needed to own her actions instead of blaming everyone else. Her mother lost everything: her daughter, her son-in-law, her marriage, most of her family's respect. The cousin gave us what she said would be her final update at the end of March. Her mother had apparently stopped asking about us, stopped trying to get information through family members, stopped sending messages through intermediaries. The cousin said it wasn't growth or acceptance, it was exhaustion. Her mother didn't change her mind about anything, she just ran out of energy to keep fighting. Either way, we were fine. The divorce isn't our fault. Her isolation isn't our fault. Her broken relationships with extended family aren't our fault. Those are all natural results of her own behavior. We just refuse to be her victims anymore. It's been almost a year since we got married, almost a year since we banned her from the wedding and cut her out of our lives completely. We haven't spoken to her once that entire time, haven't responded to any messages, haven't acknowledged any attempts at contact, haven't given her an inch, and our lives are better for it. The moment she realized she wasn't running the show, she escalated, screaming, guilt-tripping, dragging extended family into it, and pulling a medical scare theatrics like a last-ditch effort. None of that worked because you didn't blink, and honestly, good. The fact that she kept saying she was only trying to help while ignoring every single boundary tells you everything. Help respects consent. Control ignores it. Family comes first, is always said by people who benefit from someone else swallowing mistreatment quietly. Once your wife stopped doing that, suddenly she was the problem. Funny how that works. The hospital stunt was especially telling. When control failed, she tried panic. When panic failed, she tried exhaustion. And when exhaustion failed, she finally stopped. Not because she understood, but because she ran out of ways to force herself into our lives. Have you ever had to choose between family expectations and your own well-being? What made the decision clear for you? Share your stories with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time. And please put your chair back where you found it.